It's showtime. We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Show Must Go On line. Today's guests are some of my favorite fellow Beetlejuice fans. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great.
Great.
Amazing, amazing. So let's go around and have y'all introduce yourselves. But first, I want to showcase my my co-anchor here. Slim is just dogs. Let me tell you,
We don't deserve dogs.
we really don't. He's of course he's doing his own thing. So we're gonna let that just be what it is. So let's go. So because it is a set screen here, let's go in this order of Ryan, Anna, Chris, and then it kind of circles back to me. Do we like that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect. So why don't you introduce yourself, say how many times you've seen Beetlejuice, and then we'll get deeper into some of the more Beetlejuice questions.
So sure, I'm Ryan, and between DC previews, opening night, and the run, I saw 27 times.
Ah!
I'm just jealous. That's all. That's awesome. My name is Anna. I saw Beetlejuice on Broadway, only exclusively on Broadway, 15 times.
Y'all, amazing.
And I'm Chris, and I saw the show 3 times in DC and 13 times on Broadway for a total of 16.
Y'all are
Nice,
crushing
Chris.
it. This is here. I'm gonna go all intense reporter here. I don't even need the glasses. So, hello everyone. I'm SHO. In case if you don't know, SHO, aka bwaySHO, and I've seen Beetlejuice 3 times on Broadway.
Nice.
You know,
It's much more than most people.
Well, that's
true.
the funny thing is, like, when I say I've seen it 3 times, people are like, oh, wow. And I'm like, ha, 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 ha. You do not know my friends. They have seen it an absurd amount of times. And it's always so funny when, like, someone like me who considers myself a pretty big fan, but also, like, then I see someone who's seen it. Ryan, what was that? 27?
20 between DC previews, opening night, and then through the regular run. Yeah, 27.
That's amazing. So I know this is a Beetlejuice conversation, but I just feel like you'll appreciate that my boyfriend has seen Hamilton 48 times.
Wow.
Like throughout like the country, and we saw it in London. So just like if there were ever a group of humans who would appreciate seeing the same show many, many times, it would be this group.
No,
Oh
that's
my
not
God.
including Apple Plus. Or not Disney Plus, I'm sorry.
No, he actually hasn't seen it on Disney Plus because he's like, I have all these great memories from, and he never saw the original Broadway cast, but, I think one day we'll just sit down and I've seen that twice. Anyway, This is a Beetlejuice conversation, but I just felt like I had to share.
That is an accomplishment. I feel like that's a bigger accomplishment than seeing Beetlejuice, honestly. That's like,
Considering the ticket prices for Hamilton.
It is crazy. So we are going to open the door to the netherworld right now so that my dog stops scratching at the door, because I think that will be better for all of us. Stand by, my friends. And in the meantime, you can see my Beetlejuice jacket.
Nice.
Very nice.
This is live, folks. It's not scripted.
Right. This is live theater. You want to go outside?
It's all improvisational.
Yeah. The netherworld is very bright.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
Right.
It could be a little bit darker than that.
Mm.
And we're back. This is okay. Hello, my friends, everyone watching at home as well. I see you, Ava. Bug in my beverage, great name. Talking from the closet, wonderful. Broadway my way, hello. So y'all just keep commenting. If you have any questions for us, please just like drop them in the comment section and we will get to that. So let's start with like because y'all have all seen it multiple times. And am I correct in saying that all of us here saw it last year on Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all there.
I did.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah.
That was bonkers. And I feel like that would be a good place to start because, I mean, you know that the audience is what makes a show unique, right? So you'll have these amazing actors doing these shows at ridiculous times every single week, twice a day sometimes. And every show is good, but there are some shows that are just like, memorable. You'll never forget what you talk about with your friends. So let's start here counterclockwise. What was being there at Broadway, being on Broadway on Halloween at Beetlejuice?
I feel like I need like that noise machine that makes that sound.
I know. I should get it. Yes. So Chris, take it away.
Oh God, you're starting with me. So being there on Halloween, the energy in that theater was like nothing I've ever experienced before. It was crazy, and it actually just like an indication of what was to come was the line of people waiting for the costume contest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Which was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So many people. I was like afraid that I wasn't even going to get into the show because there was such a long line for the costume contest. So it was crazy. Like the audience was just electric that night, as they were almost every single time I saw the show. But especially that night, it was just a bundle of electricity, and the cast was on fire as usual. And also that night, for my own perspective, I brought a friend who had never seen the show before, but and we were in the front row, and I'm like, Alex is never going to single me out as the guy, and then he totally did, and I couldn't deal with it, and I was like, oh, okay, great, like, yeah, so that happened. And it was just wild. And then I couldn't even really do the stage door because it was just so crazy. But I did hang around a little bit afterwards to see like what the situation was going to be like. And there was just so much energy and love for the show, and it was explosive. It was wonderful.
This guy knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this guy knows what Chris literally couldn't have said it any better. It was like if you somehow merged like a rock concert and like Halloween with Tim Burton with like Comic-Con. It was like that. It was crazy. Like all I can say is that the roof of the Winter Garden was completely blown off. It was just like Beetlejuice on like a normal night was already like a really high octane experience. Like everyone, like I remember like, especially as it came into its own and got really popular on TikTok, like you would go to a show and people would be like screaming, but like it was just that times 1,000. It was so big, and I still think about it sometimes and get chills. I miss it so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing. So. Yeah, it was an incredible night. It was easily my favorite performance that I went to. Definitely the most memorable, and they threw in like tons of. It's gonna sound corny, but like tons of tricks and treats, to like make it fresh for Halloween. Like it was very self-aware that it was Halloween, but it was also like true to the show. And Presley was on that night, and she did really great. And it was amazing.
Yes. Wait, okay, quick thing, and then Ryan, I want to get to you. But do you remember, because when the Girl Scout came on to open Act 2, that her mic thing wasn't on, and Dana this is why people are pros, right? This is why I couldn't do it, because she's singing, there's no audio, just like fumbles, finds the thing, clicks it on, continues, doesn't break. It's like, this is just stunning, and you made me think of that with that moment. But like, these people are incredible. Okay, take it away.
Yeah. So I think even before I even got into the Winter Garden, I got there like super early. And of course, I wore this, and I was walking down the streets of Manhattan, and it's like people didn't even look at me like it was any different.
No.
So I got there super early, and because I knew people that were meeting there, and as I'm standing in front of the Winter Garden, walking down the street comes Alex Brightman with a bowl of candy. And he's literally like walking around being like, hey, have some candy. And it's like the people who were there to see the show knew who he was and were just speechless. And the other people that were walking by the Winter Garden, they were like, oh, it's a guy passing out candy. But it's like once other people noticed that it was Alex Brightman passing out candy and taking photos, the crowd started getting a lot bigger. To where, and this was like a good 45 minutes before half an hour call, so he had plenty of time. Because other cast members in previous nights had come out just to say hello to people, or in general. So that was amazing. The costume contest was also amazing. Same thing with you, Chris. The line was literally all the way down the street, and they were doing as best they could. The one thing that I do remember, and correct me if I was wrong, but I thought I remember this happening. In the end, and not to ruin the show for anyone that had not seen the show. Yeah, spoiler alert. But in the end, when Beetlejuice gets eaten, or when he's riding off on the sand, the sandworm, rather than saying what he usually says, he says "Happy Halloween," and then he goes out on a sandworm. I think that happened. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's when he goes off to the netherworld. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? Right. When his clones pick him up and they carry him out, he's rather than saying "Tell my story," he says "Happy Halloween," and the crowd just went nuts because it was like people didn't expect that to happen, but it was just perfect. And just the improv of the show.
Yeah.
So that's such a good time. Yes, thank you.
Sorry. What was really cool following up on that is followed by that line again. This is another Beetlejuice spoiler. I apologize to anyone who hasn't seen it, but Charles has a line where he says, "This has been a very strange day," and then like Lydia follows it up with like "strange and unusual" or something like that. It's something cute like that, and like the audience was like, because everyone was so self-aware that it was Halloween. So like Alex says, "Happy Halloween," and then Charles says, "It's been a very strange day." Everyone in the audience was just like full of giggles because everyone knew it was Halloween. And it's just like, yeah, Halloween's a very strange day, especially when you're at Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yes. I do love, because, Alex always talks about how Beetlejuice knows it's a show, right? Like, this isn't one of those Broadway musicals where you're just like, I'm going to sit back. There are going to be these people on stage, which is also great, but it's just a very different experience. Like, Alex interacts, and there's like, whenever there's a technical difficulty, I know, like, he said something like, "We're experiencing some technical difficulties. Just stand by and we'll be right back."
Yeah.
It's always so great. So yeah, that was just, I don't know. It's cool when people are dressed up. Like, Beetlejuice fans dress up on the reg. So like you said, it's not necessarily like out of the norm to see people in their Lydia costume or full Beetlejuice cosplay. Like, that's the standard performance. Now you've got it on, Halloween. So people are going all out. And it's just, it's such a special time. And one of those moments that, like, I know my friend Melissa got her Beetlejuice ticket, like the moment that it went on sale, because she's like, I know that I want to be at this musical on Halloween and tickets are going to sell out and I don't want to miss this opportunity. Mm-hmm. Me, on the other hand, I get there at, I think they did 5:00 standing room if it was sold out, and we knew it was going to be sold out or very close to it. So I got there at like 4:15, 4:30 or so, and I was like second or third in line to get standing room. And Beetlejuice was one of those fun standing room opportunities because you could kind of like dance in the back and like, You know, like when you're sitting down, I'm a very animated fan. I really, you know, I'm not going to sing out loud, but I'm going to get into it. And I just love the show so much that being in the back was actually kind of perfect because you get to like shake Sonora and all that fun.
Nice. I never got to experience it at SRO, but now that you say that, I hopefully if it ever comes back to Broadway, which fingers crossed, I'll SRO it.
Yeah. But one thing that I did a bunch of times, and this wasn't because I didn't have a regular seat, but I loved standing SRO just because I loved watching the guys doing the soundboard.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with all the technical sounds that were going on.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, those guys, you know, for most people, you know, they sit in their seat, they watch the show, they leave. Most people don't realize how much technical wise it is because there's 3 guys back. There were 3 tech guys back there, and they were doing the sound and they were doing the audio. And like there were some nights where I stood back there and I didn't watch, you know, I watched the show, but I was also looking over at the soundboard in amazement.
That's such a good point too, because sometimes when people say, I can't believe you've seen the same show X amount of times, and like, first of all, there's nothing like that live experience, which is why this time is extra hard, besides from the fact that people don't have their jobs and people are dying and all the very, very sad part. But the Broadway of it all, the live theater of it all, is that yes, watching the videos are amazing. Like I've been so grateful that I had the opportunity to film them at Broadway and Bryant Park and the Broadway Under the Stars and that cast album release, like when they did the CDs at Barnes & Noble, like that was so much fun, and being able to film it was great because like I watched those all the time. Like I just had that playlist on repeat today getting ready. I was like, I'm just gonna listen to these songs.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it, you know?
Yeah, that record release, that was a crazy day also. Like I got to Upper Manhattan. I think I got in line almost at like 5:30. And by that time, like the line was still there because we wanted to be there so we could get our bracelets to be there for the live performance. And there were a lot of people that ended up watching it in the back of the room because they could only have so many people. But like I got there super, super early. And, you know, I recognized a lot of people from going and seeing the show multiple times. But I was just shocked of how, and it's like, I had never been to that Barnes & Nobles before where you have to go down the escalator. And it's like people were running to go get it.
Wow. Yeah, that was one of those days where I was very grateful to be pressed because I had a spot. I went in. Actually, okay, this is just a quick side note. And then, Chris, I definitely want to talk about the Gospel of Beetlejuice. So just like stand by. We're coming to you next with that.
Oh, God.
But okay. So that day was ridiculous because I'm on the subway uptown with like, you know, my camera, my tripod. So you're already like carrying everything. And the train stops and they're like, stand by, we're going to be a few minutes. And then it's like, we get another thing. Oh, this is going to take 10 minutes and you have to transfer trains. And you're like, not today. It was one of those things where like, because I remember, I think I was filming 3 things that day. 2 is already a lot. 3 is like extra. So I knew that everything had to be like perfectly timed. And of course, and someone else was also on that train with me. And I just remember us like sprinting to the Barnes & Noble and like getting in. Because like you said, there were so many people like outside that you're like, I'm pressed. And they're like, okay. And so you go in. It was just like one of those bonkers moments. And but once again, like that's live theater. That's a live show. And you have to deal with that. And it's kind of makes it all even more memorable, even if it's a little stressful in the moment.
Definitely.
So tell your story of how you started this.
Are you talking about me?
Oh, yeah.
About specifically Gospel Beetlejuice or in general?
Well, just I think when I first saw that, I thought it was really cool that, you know, you're one of the people. Oh, hey, Slim, hold on. I want to make sure y'all can see him better.
The real star.
The real
Right.
star. I know.
I love how I
Who
wave at
cares
your
about
dog.
this one?
In
It's
a way.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's Beetlejuice, as we've said, has such a strong fan base, and it went viral multiple times. I mean, the Beetlejuice, the Broadway and Bryant Park Beetlejuice like video that I posted was by far the first of my videos to ever go semi-viral, let alone I just looked today. Hold on, I wrote this down. It has like 860,000 views.
Oh my God.
Holy.
If I do say so myself.
Good for you.
Thank
Oh
you,
my
thank you.
gosh.
But that aside, it's I feel like I'm just constantly moving things because Slim's moving and he's just clearly, like we said, the star. But that was the moment, like, everyone has their different moment of like, oh, this is big, or this is really popular, or this, like that I'm definitely not alone in loving this thing. That was my moment of like, oh, this went like, I mean, within minutes it started to like rise up. And then I love Broadway, y'all. And I mean, then it was like 50K within a few weeks or days, and I was like, what? And so now, like, all that to say, that was a little humble brag. I apologize, but I have to say that was pretty cool. Starting a Beetlejuice, love of that with the Gospel of Beetlejuice. Oh no, there's an echo. We're good. What made you start that, and just like talk about it? This is your opportunity to humble brag.
Oh, great. Well, there's really not much to brag about, I guess, but once they announced that the show was leaving the Winter Garden, I was like, well, I kind of want to do something special, and I really didn't really think about it until quarantine hit, and I was like, well, I kind of have extra time now. I can't go see shows. I can't go travel and go and basically see shows, which is what I was doing. So I want to honor the show, and I'm really scared that it's not going to actually get its final performance at the Winter Garden. So, and of course that happened. So when I knew that was happening, I was like, well, I need to actually think about this and figure out what I'm going to do. So in the back of my mind, I was like, well, how did this all start? Like, how did they come up with an idea to do Beetlejuice as a musical? And how did the creators get involved? And how did the cast get involved? So when that all started going, that's when I came up with making something that still has yet to actually become a fully fledged out thing, that kind of tells the story of the show from the very beginning to the present and then beyond. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I've had the opportunity to chat with Scott Brown and Anthony King, the writers of the book, and Eddie Perfect. And I'm working on chatting with some of the cast members who've been involved with the show for a while. So I'm just trying to like piece things together in a non-chronological way, and then maybe come up with a chronology at some point. It's been very eye-opening. I mean, I never really knew that it was Alex Timber's idea from the very beginning, until I talked to Scott Brown, and he's like, it was Alex Timber's. So that was an eye-opening moment. And I talked to Eddie Perfect, and it was great because it was morning for him and night for me because he's in Melbourne, Australia. So, he talked about some of the cut songs from the show, and I'm not going to talk about them right now because there's an episode coming out about that in a couple of days. So, but if you want to know, definitely tune in. And he has this wonderful announcement that he's making tonight. Actually, it's 7:00 Eastern, by the way, for that. And I think I know what it's about, but I don't officially know what it's about. But I think I know what it's about.
So
but
the
it's
question
not about what you think it's going to be about.
Right. Well, so that's the thing is I like to joke about this with some of my friends. Like, if you actually know and you're not allowed to say, please don't tell me and get me in trouble. But if you're just guessing and it's like anyone can guess, then please share.
Well, if it's just a guess, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? It's like an hour and a half away. So
Yeah.
It might. It's not about the show reopening.
Right.
If I think it, I mean, again, I don't know for a fact, but if I had to guess, it has to do with cut songs from the show.
That's what I was thinking as well. It's one of those things where like I have no inside knowledge, so this is all just kind of as a fan who follows the Instagram and follows the journey and watches their videos. I know that Eddie, and especially like at the Barnes & Noble event, that there are so many cut songs that he's talked about.
Right.
I would have to think that they're going to try to do more with it because he's talked about wanting to do more about it. Once again, maybe yes, maybe no inside info. Don't quote me if we're wrong. It's sometimes fun to speculate. That's kind of like if there's no stakes in it.
Yeah.
And to all the fans that are, hello, Rachel saying, dropping in to say, hey, friends. Hi. Rachel is one of those Beetlejuice fan combo things where like we met. I mean, as with you, that's why we're chatting right now. But like we met through a show and now we like also chat and hang out. And we don't hang out in person because of COVID, but like that's kind of what I wanted to get into as well, is that Beetlejuice, like some of these other shows, like, Be More Chill talks about this, of course, Hamilton, like that there are friends that meet at the show and then become real life friends and then go back and see the show or like go to events. And like Anna, we went to that cool Beetlejuice event with the, do you remember that with like, they had,
the Lambs, are you talking about the Lambs Club?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually how I met Rachel, and that's actually how I met JP as well, who's blowing up the chat. So yeah, and I believe Ryan, were you at that event as well?
I was not able to go that night. I had another event that night, unfortunately.
It was a really, really cool event.
The pictures looked amazing.
Yeah. It was so cool. You okay, Anna, why don't you just like explain? I feel like I've been talking a lot. Why don't you explain to everyone what it was and talk about that night?
Sure. So it was actually a fundraising event for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, and it was a long time ago, and I'm old, so I'm processing what it was. I feel old after 2020. But so yeah, it was a fundraising event. And they had like this exclusive Beetlejuice drink. I guess the Lambs Club before COVID and everything had an ongoing series, if you will, where they would feature different Broadway cocktails, and Beetlejuice just happened to be one of them. And it was super late because it was after their show. So I recall it being like 11 p.m. or something crazy like that. But it was, a lot of the cast showed up, mostly ensemble showed up, like Kelvin, and and Alex was there, Carrie was there, Rob was there. It was an amazing event.
Now, when you see Beetlejuice drink, what was in this drink? I'm really curious.
I don't remember. It just was green. It wasn't the best drink. It wasn't the best drink I've ever had, to be honest with you. But it was like they were just handing it out, so it was like, okay.
Yo,
for the penny of the pound,
fancy place.
But the experience was what it was all about. It was so cool.
JP saying, I still have my Lamb's Den hangover. Oh, that was such a fun night. That was
so much fun. Yeah.
Okay, quick story time from that as well. I went to the oh no, is someone watching this as well on their computer, like on the YouTube? I wonder if that's why we're having some some Beck. If not, whatever. You know,
I'm not hearing it on my end.
Really? Well, that's good.
That's
All
me.
right. I'm just talking to myself and hearing myself, and that's great. It's cool. It's good times. Good times. So y'all remember when Hercules was in Central Park? Yes.
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 I was obsessed with that, and I had been sitting outside because you could just sit on like the lawn area and just listen and like have a picnic with your friends. It was a good time. I loved it. So my friend Jackie hadn't seen it and wanted to go see it, and I'm pretty sure this is that night, ends up winning the lottery and is like, I want you to come with me. And I'm like, oh, but there's this Beetlejuice event. And she's like, I think you could probably do both. I was like, it's kind of far away. And in such a New York day, you know, you see one show totally away, hop on the subway, run up just in time. And I think I won. Anna, do you remember this? They had like a raffle going on, and I got this like US
you won like a yeah. You won like a US Open bag. It was awesome, and you were like so stoked. Like if anybody should have won a US Open bag, it was you, because you were like, I can use this. I love the US Open. It was so great.
I do love the US Open. I love tennis. I love sport. It was just one of those funny things of like, am I going to make it? Oh, not only did I make it, but I get to like, I win this thing, and I'm chatting with Alex Brightman, and we took a group picture, and it was just like, it was a cool, like, you know, I don't know. I'm thinking because pre-COVID, sometimes you're like, I don't know if I want to go. It's so long. And then I still have to take the subway back. You know, like you get in your head about like, this is going to be such a journey. And now I would give anything to have like a crazy day where you're like running from event to event. And anyway.
And the thing is we stayed there till they kicked us out. Like we even took like the posters on the they had like window cards. I still have mine. They had like window cards just everywhere. So you were like, can we have the window cards? Because what are you gonna do with them? So we took the window cards, and then we wound up like walking to the Winter Garden, which I don't even know how far that was, a few blocks. Not super close. And took pictures, and it was, bear in mind, like it was either 11:30 or no, it must have been like 1 a.m. It was really late. It was really late.
But you know, that's kind of the fun of it, right?
Yeah. Like, yeah, but that's what it's all about. Like, that's the thing. Like, you're not just getting like a Broadway show, you're also getting like a whole squad of people that all dig the same weird stuff you do. So it's cool.
Yeah. So many good times. I feel like before I forget, I wanted to give a couple of shout outs, because as you see, I'm wearing a lot of Beetlejuice stuff, and y'all can like get this Beetlejuice stuff. So, all right, let's start from the very beginning. A very good place to start. We've got my scenery bags ring. It is wonderful. I'll even take it off so you can see. It's a coffin from the DC run. It's very nice. They have it in black and silver. I'm not being paid for any of this, but I feel like if you don't shout out your friends, what's the point?
Absolutely.
Then you've got this wonderful coffin, Beetlejuice coffin. Is it refocusing a bunch? Please comment if it is. I feel like the lighting is maybe off. Please let me know. This is from Custom Broadway. Very nice. I actually have, this is signed by Carrie Butler, so that's pretty neat. So you should check that out. And then also, this is another Beetlejuice scenery necklace that's pretty cool, and it's from the floor of the DC run, which I just think is like so cool. And then Beetlejuice nail decals from Nailing Broadway. It's already off the thing, but I just thought I would show the remnants from this. So all right, I've done my due diligence.
What was the name of the coffin company again?
This is Custom Broadway.
Custom Broadway, okay.
Chelsea is fabulous. Does like really cool, like swirling colored, like necklaces and stuff based off of the colors of the show, and then has like other really cool painted things. definitely check them out. And if anyone watching this like forgets what I'm saying, please just like DM me and I will like pass along the gospel truth of all my friends and how wonderful they are.
That was, I think, was that like a Hercules?
I was just gonna say the gospel, and then I was like, I have to say gospel truth if I'm already this smart. Oh, come to the Beetlejuice Day for the total Broadway musical theater references. That's like
this is a safe space for This is a safe space for Broadway musical references, so it's fine.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I just also have to comment. I'm sorry. Slim, are we boring you? He is just like snoring. Like
Well, listen. I just might have downloaded something that might help him.
Nice.
Feel free to play that at any moment. This is bwaySHO.
You woke up.
You heard the air horn.
Perfect timing.
What app is that? I have to ask. What app is that?
Literally called air horn.
Oh,
air horn. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Things are going out of control. I love it.
Yeah.
I might have to use this in the show
going
forward.
This is so great. So, okay. I want to talk a little bit more about, so this is like admission time. I've never seen the movie. Is that crazy?
Blasphemy.
I know, but I might watch it this weekend. So this is a whole conversation. Stand by. So I was going to watch it right before I saw the musical. And then a friend who saw the musical said like, well, if you haven't seen it up until this point, don't watch it like the day before, because then you're just gonna like, they're different enough that you might have already like a preconceived notion and it's not going to be that. So like you've waited your 28 years. I'm like, how old am I? 28 years and you haven't seen it. Don't watch it right now. So I was like, okay. So then I saw the musical and I loved it. And then everyone's like, well, obviously there are similarities, but it's also a very different thing. So like, watch it if you want to, but you don't have to. And then it was just like all of these different things. But people are like, that's blasphemy, as you just said. So from 3 Beetlejuice fan experts, what are your thoughts?
I guess I've seen the movie, a bunch of times just because it's such a big cult classic. But I went into seeing the musical, with a clean slate. I knew it was an adaptation. I knew it was going to be following the same like characters, but with the similarities and the differences, I didn't have I had no problem. Not that I really could change anything, but I had no problem with, I love when they take the movies and they turn them into musicals, just because I find that with musicals, you can get more of the background of what happened, of what happened, just because they have the ability to.
That's totally fair. Does anyone else want to share their takes?
Go for it.
So I was exposed to the movie growing up, but I guess I never really saw it in its entirety until I was an adult. And that was only a month or two before I saw the show in DC, just because I wanted to, know what I was getting myself into, really. So when I saw the show in DC, I was like, wow, this is definitely like an interpretation of the original source material, but like not a copycat, which I really loved. I loved how it focused the show on Beetlejuice and Lydia, who are barely even seen in the film. And spoiler alert, by the way, since you haven't seen it. So
don't worry.
But
I've made it this long.
I think Beetlejuice is in the movie for like 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Total.
What?
Yeah. And it's very the movie is very focused on the Maitlands. It's kind of like their movie, and everything else is just like secondary and kind of like outside forces, infiltrating their house. So when I saw the show, I was really excited that they had, number one, made Beetlejuice into more of a character, especially since I've loved Alex since Wicked. They expanded on Lydia's character and made it kind of a and again, I'm going to throw in another spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. So there's really no big mention of her mother being dead in the movie,
right?
But it is like very subtly touched upon that Delia is a stepmother in the movie. It's like very subtle. Like if the first time I watched it, I didn't even pick up on it. So I watched it a second time and I'm like, oh, okay. So the fact that like Lydia is dealing with dealing with her mom's death and dealing with a father who doesn't really care, he wants to move on, and how she's able to, spoiler for the musical, find her own home among people who she didn't really think were going to be her home. That really, really hit a chord with me. And when I saw the show in New York, I was like, oh wow, they really like tightened up that concept. So, to take a movie that is so iconic and so, well known for its one-liners and the whole Deo scene and all of that, and the actors in the movie, and Tim Burton, and take that world and expand on it and make it into a full-out musical that, takes the story and really gives it a heart and soul. I think it was just really wonderful. So, and that's my 2.5 cents.
Well, it's just crazy because I've heard, and Anna, if you want to say something, jump in. Do you want to?
Okay. Jump in the line.
Jump in the line. Okay. I believe you.
The one thing I will say is I was actually really into Beetlejuice the movie as a kid. Like, I don't know why. I just was super, super into it, which is kind of crazy and like a weird prophecy. But I will say that the musical has like a much stronger emotional core. So it kind of picks up pieces from the movie and just ties them together. It gives it basically a plot, because the movie is just a lot of idea. In my opinion, everyone has their opinion, but in my opinion, the movie is just kind of like a bunch of ideas. Kind of, and some are weird, and some you're like, okay, all right, I can see. That's very Tim Burton-esque of you. But the thing is that it also has Catherine O'Hara, and we love Catherine O'Hara. We stand Catherine O'Hara in this house. So yeah, Moira Rose. So
I was there the night that she came to the show too.
Yeah,
with that,
that was intense.
Come on.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I bet it was.
Rose Apothecary, love it.
I know. It's always so funny with the ring light, and you're like, no, stuff it. I just ordered these DL eyewear, the Dan Levy eyewear, and they just came in. Mm-hmm. Actually, they go really well. Keep talking, Anna.
I want to see. Brian's like, I have no idea what's going on.
I'm very
No.
Okay, hold on. I'm really excited about this.
We all are.
I'm the most.
Oh, hello.
Ooh.
Are these designed by Dan Levy?
Yeah. This is Dan's company. Aren't they so cool?
I didn't even know this was
his own eyewear company.
Yeah.
Well, there goes all my money.
I know. Oh, believe
I know, right?
me. I know.
Hold on. I love it. But anyway, so they look fabulous, Shoshana.
They do.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I feel like such a model. Doing good.
I feel like I should have like a paparazzi camera, just be like. If you ever make an intro for the show, it should just be like various shots of you just being like, hey, what goes on.
Oh my goodness, this is fabulous. Yes, I agree. Okay, I'm gonna. Y'all are making some really interesting points. Also, I have to say, I have heard Rachel, Ryan has no idea what's going on.
Nope.
Perfect. There are just a lot of crossovers going on right now, and I appreciate that. So what I'm hearing is I should watch it, but keep in mind that they're like based off of the same concept, but very different in execution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The essence is still there. Like the general essence.
The F-bomb.
This is what happens when you've seen this show 15 times.
Wait, hold on. Do you need to buy more crystals?
Oh my god, crystals speak to me. It has the general essence of it, but it is executed far differently.
Yeah,
that's what I know.
That's cool. So that seems like a good a good weekend viewing thing. Actually, fun fact, in case of anyone saw my conversation with Abe Goldfarb or Abe Juice, either here on the Show Must Go Online or listen to it on bwaySHO the podcast.
That was perfect timing, Chris.
Perfect. That was amazing. We spoke about, so Abe performed Sweet Transvestite on the series, and it was just glorious in all of his Abe Juice glory. And then we were like, oh, we should totally watch Rocky Horror Picture Show and then have like a tweeting party. And so I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. So on Halloween, this Saturday, for anyone keeping track, at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, turn on Rocky Horror and then like hashtag Rocky Horror Picture Show, SHO, and we'll have a little Twitter party. So just,
nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
3:30. Okay.
It's just 3:30. It'll be great. I'll tweet about it again later for anyone who missed it. And then we'll, of course, have another Tim Burton related event at night because James Monroe Iglehart is hosting the benefit of The Nightmare Before Christmas, which as a Jew I've never seen. And I feel like I just need to like sit down and watch all Tim Burton things. Am I going to get crucified here?
I think you'll be okay. From a secular perspective, you'll be fine.
Just
so
like
Nightmare Before Christmas is the Halloween movie and a Christmas movie, in my opinion. So
ooh, okay. See, now you're selling me because like I did watch Elf, but there are a lot of I can't speak. There are a lot of Christmas movies that I was like, I don't feel represented. I'm not watching this. And then, I've missed out on some really great movies. So now in my like adult years, I'm like, you know what? There are fun things that don't relate to you. You should watch it. So I think I might just have to make like a weekend of it.
Nice.
I feel like Nightmare leans more towards the Halloween though.
Yeah, it does.
I feel like it's more of a Halloween movie you can watch during the Christmas time as well.
Ooh.
Just because it just plays on both holidays and its main setting is a town. Well, no spoilers, but
please.
Okay, this town that is literally
don't know that much about
dedicated to Halloween. So yeah,
perfect.
It's a much more Halloween movie in my opinion because the main character is a skull.
Yeah.
Excellent. We all need a main character as a skull sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to Beetlejuice. Hello, Courtney, saying, hello, guys, you all look great. Thank you. I will take these compliments. Okay, this is great. Vogue. This is just a fashion show, really. I came on with the disguise of a series about Beetlejuice, and it's really whatever. So, okay, we spoke about Chris, you were talking about how you've loved Alex ever since Wicked, and I think that's such a great also point of like the actors and the director and the writer and like all these people who have made Beetlejuice so wonderful are also involved in other stories. Like, I don't know if you saw when I had Alex on the series and he spoke about his Wicked story, which is just the funniest thing. And like, I'm not even gonna like give you any spoiler.
Are we talking about the costume issue?
Yeah, it is just so great. It is so great. So that inspired me to think, were you at any of the shows? And Ryan, I'm going to start with you here because you've seen it an absurd amount of time. And I say absurd in the most loving way. Did anything happen, like any other technical difficulties or something, that made it slightly different, and the cast just being as amazing as they are and the stagehands and everyone, it just made it even better and more memorable?
Yeah. And Rachel, if you're watching this, I apologize. I think you were with me there that night. So we were, we got the alert that Alex was going to be off that night. And we heard that the understudy was going to be going on. So we went, and it's a regular, typical show, and everything's going. And then, again, spoiler alert, at the end of the show for the wedding, when they rip off his costume and it's the red, because he had never gone on before, it had never been tested. So when they pull it off, it doesn't come off all the way. And then because the cast was so amazing, they're just dancing while they're still trying to pull the costume off him. And it was the leg pieces because the costume was split right down the middle.
Will Blum.
There was that.
I love Will Blum. Oh my gosh.
What
an amazing guy.
And then one other show that I remember, and this was talked about and the reason why I knew that it had never been tested, because at the stage door, we were like, just to let you know, it was amazing that you guys just kept on going. And while they're trying to rip off the costume off of Will. The other thing that happened that was really memorable was, again, spoiler alert, in the beginning of the show, when Beetlejuice is thrown the ukulele, yes. The guy, if you ever look into the pit, there's a guy that literally tosses it up there. And they practiced this before the show, before they were in the house. So when they tossed it, he didn't toss it well enough. So it's like he tossed it and there's no ukulele. So that happened. And then, so that was one memorable night before. So there were a bunch of things that happened. That was memorable. The one thing with Will, trying to think what else happened. That was, I think there was one time of where the house got stuck. So rather than going in and out, it got stuck. So they kind of like had technical issues. That may have been during previews or maybe towards the end of or early in previews. But those were the two memorable things that I witnessed.
That's amazing. So I do see Rachel here. I'm going to put on these glasses again. Rachel saying, one of the funny things I've seen on stage, I also saw Alex fall off the coffin. I was crapping up when that happened.
I wouldn't.
I've seen that too.
It's, and Alex said this as well when we were chatting, that like when something goes wrong and nobody gets hurt, it is the funniest thing, right? Because the way people recover and like, it's just like when someone gets hurt, then that's sad, and we don't talk about that. But when you roll off the coffin, or like you're trying to rip off his costume, right. That just sounds so funny because like those numbers, there are some big numbers in Beetlejuice, and I could just imagine everyone's trying to be like, okay, I'm still gonna have to go stage left, and then also this, and then like there's so many things happening at the same time, and it's like live theater.
Yeah. One thing that also, and this wasn't something that, technical wise, but when Sophia was no longer in the cast and they were having Presley and they were having Dana switch roles. Yeah. So one was playing the Girl Scout, one was playing Lydia. The first night that they switched, of where Dana was Lydia and Presley was the Girl Scout. When she first opened that door, we were kind of like, I don't know about me, anyone else, but I was kind of like anticipating, like, would they make eye contact? Would they smile at each other? Just because that was the first time it had happened. And again, you know, them being true professionals, it's like there was no difference.
Wow.
Wow.
Why are people so talented?
I know, right?
Anna, Chris, either of you have any fun gaffes that you can share?
I did see the one with Will. It was actually, I think it must have happened to him more than once, because the last show I saw, Will Blum, I should say, the last show I saw actually was one of Will Blum's shows. And not to brag, but I saw it from the front row, so it was pretty amazing. I mean, I feel like we've all seen it from the front row, because it was such an amazing show to see from the front row, because there was just enough gap between the stage and, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but but the thing is, when they tossed the ukulele, he did not catch it, and let's just say that he kind of like, you know, strummed it like, and you know, it was like this, and everyone was laughing even harder because he did not catch it. So I definitely saw one of those gaffes, and I really didn't see that many, to be honest with you, just because it was such like a, you know, amazing. It was such a tight show, you know, like if they did anything, like I just really probably didn't even notice, to be honest with you.
I'm just imagining,
but that was the only thing I really noticed. Yeah.
Air ukulele. That's for anyone who saw me doing my sad tears. I've seen other shows in the first row. I will be okay. It's just actually kind of crazy. A lot of times shows, I don't know what's going to be post-COVID, but like a lot of times the first row or the sides on the front row would be the lottery or the rush tickets. So like I've seen a good amount of shows. Like when I saw Jagged Little Pill's first preview, I was front row center for that. And I was like, this is absurd. I did not pay nearly enough money to get this. Like, and you know, that's a weird, also like, I mean, I think it's great that people who don't have the opportunity to maybe spend that money still get a great experience, and you don't know until you get there, because every seat is great. I did get to see it when I went the last time. John, my boyfriend, I don't know. He went to rush Beetlejuice, and we got like third row seats, kind of off to the side, but like way too good once again. And like, it feels weird giving this advice now, but when Broadway is back, it's just a good idea. If you don't have a ticket yet, go early. I mean, if they do rush, but like go early to the show. Like sometimes you have to go at like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., but you can get a really good seat for cheap. And even if they don't do rush, some shows still have like a seat that like that was like a house seat, and the person who was going to come couldn't make it. Like that's how I saw Hamilton. Still expensive, but like a great seat. So just those are some fun like Broadway tips for you.
You know how I saw Jagged Little Pill? Because I went, so the show started at like 7 p.m. or something like that. I literally went to the theater at like 5:30 and was like, can you print me a rush ticket? And they were like, yeah, no problem. And they did it. And it was a front row seat. And it was probably exactly where you sat. And I just went to Starbucks, killed some time, saw the show, cried, loved it. You know, so it works, people.
It's just
when
like
they're back, show up.
Show up.
I cannot wait to be in a theater when everything comes back. Like that show is gonna like that theater is gonna explode. Every theater is gonna explode with just like so much energy and applause and screaming. It's gonna be wonderful.
Yes. All right. So I see that we've nearly chatted for an hour, which is crazy because I feel like it's just friends catching up and talking Beetlejuice, which is the best. But let's go around and everyone say your social media handles or anything that you'd want to promote. And like, if there's anything else you came into today wanting to like make sure to share either about Beetlejuice or just like in general, like vote Biden Harris, please, so that we can get Broadway back and a better healthcare system and so many other good things that'll help hopefully happen. Okay, Ryan, take it away.
So my Instagram is rmitchell83. And just saying, my lasting impressions about the show is this was one of the shows that I think really connected with me. And I think also just because, you know, most Broadway shows, you see it, you maybe, you know, you get your autograph and then you go home. And then if you see it again, that's great. This was one show that I think I was able to make a connection with some of the cast members. And I think that was just amazing, to where I was actually, you know, going opening night. It was the first time I had ever been to a Broadway show opening night. I mean, that was just beyond amazing. And then the one thing that I will always remember, especially about this show, was my opportunity to sit in the pit. You know, I got to know the conductor, you know, well enough of where one time I was actually able to sit in the pit of where I, you know, couldn't watch the show and I had headphones on. So only thing I could hear was the music. But that was something that, as far as I've been told, never happens. You never have somebody who's not supposed to be in the pit in there. And it was just amazing. And the best thing that happened to me was in between intermission, because the conductor, you know, went to go to the bathroom or went to go get a drink, I was actually able to stand on the podium and turn around and look back at the audience. And I mean, that was just the biggest dream come true. And I will never forget that experience.
I'm so happy you had that experience. That sounds amazing.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
Anna, take it away.
First of all, I already knew that, but that's mind-blowing. It still blows my mind. I think I would have actually died.
Appropriate
first of all,
for Beetlejuice.
I know, it would have been appropriate. It's a show about death. So,
It's
my
so appropriate.
My social media handle, the main one everywhere, is it's @Anna, but it's not like Anna. It's like @ written out, followed by my name. Remember that, there will be a test. Secondly, and also I work with, I wanted to plug the Ensemblist because I work with the Ensemblist and we do amazing podcasts on ensemble actors. We've featured tons of the Beetlejuice cast recently, and we always got lots of cool stuff coming up. So keep that in mind. Also, you know, I kind of came into the Beetlejuice fandom and a hyperfixation unexpectedly. I kind of just saw the show because my friend wanted to see it. And from there, it was just, you know, it was really just like love at first sight, you know. And I'm just I have so much gratitude that I made that. I spent so much money on this show, but I would not take a single dollar back in any way. It has been like such an amazing experience. And finally, vote.
Yes to all of that. And quick note about the Ensemblists. Like, I love them so much. And I think Beetlejuice also really showed me how cool it was to have ensemble members and swings, and like the difference between Alex Brightman and Will Blum, and then Abe, who was going to go on, and like hopefully we get to see Abe Juice, but it's appreciating everyone for their unique talents, and it's so cool. And just like Swing Nation, rise up. Y'all are superheroes.
And the thing is like every swing and every Broadway show, they're the hardest working people on Broadway. And their flexibility and their ability to just kind of slot themselves into multiple roles. Some people swing like in 7 different roles in Broadway shows in Hamilton. And it's just like, how do you have that many roles in your head that you can just pick up?
Right.
You know, and I always think of like Eric Anthony Johnson, what he did stepping in for Otho one night. And he wasn't even a swing for that role. He just was like, there's no one else to play Otho. So he literally learned it in the intermission. Yeah.
Crazy.
Full story at the ensemble.
So talented. Moral of the story. Why are people so talented?
I know. Not fair.
Chris, take it away. Take it away, Ernie.
Okay. So my well, to quickly, before I give my Instagram and all that fun stuff, to piggyback on what Anna said, the spending money on the show, I did the crazy thing of having a spreadsheet last year in 2019 to find out how much money I spent on shows in general, and it was a lot of money. And Beetlejuice made up a decent chunk of that money, so there's that. At any rate, my Instagram, Twitter, I am Love Wicked, and love is not spelled correctly. It's LUVWICKED. And then, of course, I also have Gospel of Beetlejuice on Instagram. Beetlejuice is spelled the non-traditional way or traditional way, depending on how you want to spell it. It's the way that the star is spelled. That's how it's spelled. And that's also on Facebook and YouTube. One of the big takeaways from the show is I went into the show not knowing anything about the show itself, seeing it in DC, and then just going basically because of the fact that it was a darker show and I really like dark comedy. And also the cast was insane. Again, I love Alex. I loved Carrie forever. I loved Rob forever. And I loved Leslie forever. So like going, and of course, and Kelvin as well. And just going in, like not knowing much about the show itself and then seeing the show and falling in love with it. And then like the second I saw it, by intermission, I'm like, I need to see the first Broadway preview. I need to be there. And so I made that happen. But just making friendships with people in the show, with the creators of the show, with fans. It's been such a wild ride, and I keep telling myself, I'm like, the show is like closed at the Winter Garden, but it's like not closed. And the other thing is like Broadway's amazing. I've loved Broadway since I was like 8 years old, but like Broadway is not the end of any show. Like a show lives on so much longer than Broadway. With tours, with international productions. There's going to be a South Korean production in June, and I am like, when I found out about that, I'm like, I might need to go to South Korea.
My bags are packed.
Yeah. Seriously.
Let's go.
Like looking at flights to South Korea, I'm like, how long is it going to take to get there? 16 hours? That's fine. But like again, like a show like this, especially a show like this with so much energy behind it, has a life well beyond Broadway, well beyond tours. Like it's going to be a regional and community theater sensation in the future, and it's going to take the world by storm. I love it.
Life after death, isn't that what we're all about?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You're definitely giving me that new inspiration to, there's always going to be another thing. And the fact that we have this amazingly done cast album, like not all shows have a cast album. And the fact that Beetlejuice has one, that we've had the opportunity to see them at other events and like have all of these like legally filmed things that I have on my YouTube channel, right? Like I was invited to cover it. I like to just specify the difference. This is not a conversation of bootlegs or whatnot, but I'm just saying, if you want to see the Broadway performers perform and totally like kosher, head over to bwaySHO.com. But amazing. Thank you so much. This, I just need you to like come on all the episodes, and I'll just like keep you on the thing, and then I'll be like, bwaySHO.com. Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. Yes. So what else did I want to say about this? But yeah, there are so many cool things, and this cast and creative team, everyone's just been so nice. And Alex Brightman being the leading man, the leading actor of this show, we're so lucky because he appreciates the ensemble members so much. He appreciates the stagehands. He appreciates the reporters. He appreciates the fans. Like, we don't always get that. You hope to get that for any show, but he just loves the show. And that also spreads throughout the cast, that when the stage door, when we had that opportunity, how lovely he, or really everyone. I mean, Presley was always so nice, and Leslie would come out and just like sign everything. And Leslie's role is absurd, and having to like change and do the makeup and like, once again, crazy talented human beings. but there was this love behind the show, and they always call it like a downtown show. And we're so lucky that a show like that, even though it has the background of it being this smash hit sensation movie, could also survive as a Broadway show and have such a cross, generational love and appreciation. That's also so cool, is that like the TikTok generation, but then also like you have the people who grew up with the movie who are like, oh, I love this. And that's just really special. So my ending note is y'all can find me at bwaySHO. That's bwaySHO. Like Broadway, show Shauna. And I love Broadway. I love all things. Chris, everything that you're saying about life beyond Broadway is so true. When you're able to, and they have a lot of virtual things now, support your local theater, support off-Broadway, regional. There are some really cool productions that I've seen throughout the country that were small productions, but there was so much life and happiness through it. And that's really also where theater lives. So there's just, I always like to let people know that yes, Broadway and the West End are these like mega amazing experiences, but you can also have super cool experiences and a lot cheaper at these other type of theaters. And making theater more accessible is like part of my mission. And so if y'all ever have questions, like I sincerely mean this, you can always like message me. Like Instagram's a pretty good way, or email, and I will try to find you a good theater experience where you are post-COVID, though right now there's also a lot going on online. Cool. That's my PSA. Courtney saying, oh, hello, Slim. Yeah, Slim, as you can probably hear, my wonderful co-star, co-anchor, and really why a lot of people have been totally cool with that. He's just a wonder dog, obsessed with him. And Kevin.
Can I just do one more plug? Can I just do one more plug for people who love theater? There is an amazing podcast out there called 1 Million Musicals, and they are kind of like a radio play. So if you like spooky things, they are doing spooky Broadway. So you just have to look up 1 Million Musicals on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and that's how you can kind of get a little bit of theater and a little bit of radio, and it's a great way to support theater in this current weird dystopian time. So that's all I wanted to say.
I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much. Which also made me think of Dracula, a comedy of terrors. There you can see or hear Alex Brightman and Rob McClure. They just did a second video reunion type thing on the Broadway Podcast Network. And I highly recommend both listening to like the radio play and watching their videos, because it is hilarious. And the like interactions between Alex Brightman and Richard Kind on the first video is, I was crying, laughing on my couch. I can't recommend it enough.
Oh, too good.
Some technical assistance, by the way. Spoiler alert to anyone. It made for an amazing video. I loved it.
Just so perfect. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who tuned in today, and to all of my Showtreons. That's the bwaySHO Patreon squad. They are awesome. We do weekly trivia and monthly video chats, and y'all have been really the reason that I've been able to continue doing this and create the podcast is through your support. So I thank you very, very much. Like I said, the show must go on line is going to continue throughout quarantine. And we're nearing 100 episodes. So that's pretty amazing. And then the podcast, which is still pretty new, we have episodes from Alex Brightman and Abe Goldfarb for all of you Beetlejuice fans, which I'm guessing because you're tuning in right now. But we also have Mr. Joe Iconis and Lauren Marcus and Anita Folds and Mandy Gonzalez. It's crazy. Go check it out. I know Mandy Gonzalez, my love.
Exactly.
He was like, Mandy Gonzalez, I need to download this episode.
Say no more.
And on that note, my friends, this has been such a lovely time. Thank you so much for joining me and like helping me reminisce and mwah, mwah, mwah. And one final time, because I feel like I should. It's showtime.
Great.
Y'all are wonderful. Happy Halloween.
Happy
Go
Halloween.
listen to Beetlejuice.
Happy Halloween.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
See you at the show.
Bye.
Thanks again.